My name is Emily, and I want to tell you a story about my journey to speak English better. I live in a small town in the USA, surrounded by tall trees and friendly neighbors. When I was a child, I always dreamed of speaking English fluently. I loved hearing stories from my friends and reading books filled with adventures. I wanted to be a part of those stories, but I was often shy about speaking. One sunny day, I decided it was time to change that. I was sitting in my favorite spot in the garden, where the flowers danced with the wind. I whispered to myself, "Emily, you can do this." I remembered a tip my teacher had given me: practice makes perfect, so I began to talk to myself. I picked a flower and named it Daisy. "Hello, Daisy. How are you today?" I asked with a big smile. Talking to flowers may seem silly, but it helped me feel more comfortable. Each time I spoke, I grew more confident. I thought about the words I wanted to say and how to say them. I learned that using simple words was a great way to start. I focused on my favorite topics, like animals and my hobbies. Daisy, I love cats. They are so soft and funny. I felt like I was having a real conversation, even if it was just with a flower. As I practiced, I also remembered my friend Jake. He was a great help in my journey. He always encouraged me to speak more. One day, we were sitting on the porch, and I told him, "Jake, I want to speak English better. Can you help me?" His eyes lit up, and he said, "Of course, Emily. Let's practice together." We made a plan to meet every day after school to talk in English. Our conversations were fun and silly. Sometimes, we pretended to be characters from our favorite movies. "I am a superhero," Jake shouted, "and I will save the world." I laughed and replied, "I will be your sidekick, and together we can do anything." Through these playful moments, I learned that speaking should be enjoyable. I didn't have to worry about making mistakes. As the weeks went by, I noticed something amazing. I was becoming more fluent. I could express my thoughts and feelings more easily. One day, I decided to share my favorite story with Jake. Once upon a time, there was a brave knight. I started. As I told the story, I could see Jake's eyes wide with interest. "Wow, Emily, that was amazing. You are getting really good at this," he said, making me feel proud. I realized that sharing stories was another great way to practice. Stories helped me remember words and sentences. I also learned to listen carefully when others spoke. I loved listening to my teacher, Mrs. Johnson. She spoke clearly and with a warm voice. When she read stories aloud, I felt like I was in another world. I would often think, "I want to speak like her one day." Another tip I learned was to watch movies and shows in English. I remember the first movie I watched. It was a funny cartoon about a little penguin named Pingu. I laughed so hard. I loved how the characters talked to each other. I would pause the movie to repeat their lines. Pingu. Let's go play, I said, imitating the voice of the penguin. It was a fun way to learn new words and phrases. In addition to watching movies, I also listened to music. One day, I heard a catchy song by Taylor Swift. I loved the melody and the words. I played it over and over, singing along. I'm feeling 22, I sang at the top of my lungs. Singing helped me with pronunciation. I learned how to say words more clearly and confidently. Music was not just fun, it became an essential part of my learning. As time passed, my confidence grew. I began to join more activities at school. I tried out for the school play. I was so nervous, but I told myself, you can do this, Emily. I practiced my lines every day. When I got a role, I was overjoyed. The play was about friendship, and I had to speak a lot. Friendship is the best treasure, my character would say. On the night of the performance, I felt butterflies in my stomach, but I took a deep breath and remembered all my practice. When I stepped onto the stage, I could see my friends and family in the audience. I smiled at them and started speaking. Each word flowed from me like a gentle stream. I felt like a star. After the play, my friends congratulated me. You were fantastic, Emily, they cheered. I realized that taking risks was essential to learning. One day, while walking home from school, I saw a little girl sitting alone on a bench. She looked sad, so I decided to say hello. Hi there. My name is Emily. What's your name? I asked. She looked up, surprised, and replied, I'm Mia. I sat beside her and asked, Are you okay, Mia? We started talking, and I learned that she was new to town and was nervous about making friends. I remembered how I felt when I started learning English. I told her, it's okay to be nervous. I felt the same way. But talking helps. Let's be friends, Mia smiled, and we chatted about our favorite games. That day, I learned another important lesson: helping others can also improve my speaking skills. Encouraging someone else made me feel more confident in my abilities. As the seasons changed, so did my speaking skills. I was no longer the shy girl who spoke softly. I loved to express my ideas and opinions. My friends would ask me for advice, and I felt proud to help them. Emily, how do I say this in English? They would ask. I enjoyed being a resource for others, and it made me realize that learning is a journey we share. One afternoon, I attended a community event in our town. It was a fair filled with laughter and fun. There were games, food, and many people. I spotted a booth where people were sharing stories. I gathered my courage and approached them. Hi, can I share a story too? I asked. They welcomed me with smiles. I told a funny story about my cat, Max, who always tried to catch the laser pointer. Everyone laughed, and I felt a warm glow in my heart. Sharing stories with different people made me feel connected. I learned that speaking English was not just about the language, it was about sharing moments and building relationships. As my journey continued, I discovered the power of reading. I started reading books every day. My favorite book was about a young girl who traveled the world. I imagined all the places she visited and the friends she made. Reading opened my mind and enriched my vocabulary. I would underline new words and practice using them in sentences. One day, I had a great idea. I decided to start a book club with my friends. We could read and discuss our favorite stories together. Let's meet every week and share what we read, I suggested. My friends loved the idea, and soon we gathered at my house with snacks and smiles. We took turns reading aloud and talking about our thoughts. Through the book club, I learned to express my opinions clearly. I loved this character because she was brave, I would say, and my friends would share their thoughts too. It felt wonderful to share ideas and learn from one another. Reading together brought us closer and made us better speakers. I also began to write my stories. I kept a journal where I wrote about my day, my feelings, and my dreams. Writing helped me organize my thoughts and practice my language skills. One day, I wrote a short story about a magical forest. I shared it with my family, and they loved it. "You have a talent," Emily, my mom, said. With each story I wrote, my confidence grew. I learned that my words had power. They could inspire, make people laugh, or even make them think. I began to realize that speaking English was not just about grammar, it was about creativity and expression. As the school year came to an end, I reflected on how far I had come. I remembered the shy girl in the garden, talking to flowers. I felt grateful for all the people who had supported me. My friends, family, and teachers had played essential roles in my journey. On the last day of school, we had a celebration. I stood in front of my classmates and said, "Thank you all for being part of my journey. I learned so much from each of you." They clapped and cheered, and I felt a wave of happiness wash over me. Speaking in front of them felt like a dream come true. I also realized that learning never stops. I wanted to continue improving my English. I set new goals for myself. I will read more books, write more stories, and travel to new places I promised myself. Each day would be a new opportunity to learn and grow. I kept practicing every day. I spoke with friends, read new stories, and even started a YouTube channel where I shared my favorite books and tips for learning English. I loved creating videos and connecting with people worldwide. Hello, everyone. I'm Emily, and today I want to share a story with you, I would say with excitement. Through my channel, I met many wonderful people. They shared their journeys and encouraged me. We supported each other and I felt a sense of community. I learned that speaking English was not just a personal journey, it was a shared experience with others. As I continued to grow, I discovered the beauty of culture. I learned about different countries and their languages. I made friends from around the world. Tell me about your culture, I would ask, eager to learn. We exchanged stories, traditions, and laughter, and I realized how language connects us all. One day, I decided to host an international potluck with my friends. Everyone brought a dish from their culture. We gathered in my backyard, filled with delicious food and joyful conversations. "This is so tasty," I exclaimed as I tried a dish from my friend Sophia. It was a spicy dish from her home country, and it made me smile. At that moment, I understood that learning English was not just about the words, it was about understanding and appreciating diversity. Language is a bridge that brings people together, and I felt grateful to be a part of it. As the years went by, my journey continued. I faced challenges and moments of doubt, but I always remembered why I started. I would think about Daisy, my flower friend, and how far I had come. I never gave up. Instead, I embraced every opportunity to learn and connect with others. In college, I took part in public speaking events. Standing on stage felt both scary and exciting. I learned how to share my ideas with passion and clarity. Today, I want to talk about the power of words, I would say, feeling the energy in the room. The applause I received made me realize how far I had come. I also volunteered to teach English to children in my community. "Let's have fun learning together," I told them. Seeing their smiles as they learned new words brought me joy. I understood the importance of passing on knowledge and helping others in their journeys. Eventually, I became a mentor for students learning English. I would say, "Believe in yourself. You can do this." I shared my stories and encouraged them to keep practicing. Remember, every word you speak is a step forward. I felt proud to be a part of their journeys, just like others had been part of mine. Looking back, I realized that learning to speak English had transformed my life. It had opened doors to new friendships, experiences, and opportunities. Each conversation, each story, and each laugh had shaped who I am today. I continue to learn and grow every day. I believe that language is a beautiful gift that connects us all. So, if you ever feel shy or unsure, remember my story. Take a deep breath, speak to a flower, or share a story with a friend. You have the power to express yourself and make a difference in the world. This is just a beginning of the story, and it captures the essence of learning to talk in English through personal experiences and tips. If you'd like, I can continue the story or focus on specific parts of it. Let me know. As I moved forward in my journey of learning English, I found that each day brought new opportunities for growth and discovery. I often thought back to the moments when I first started speaking to myself in the garden and how far I had come since then. One day, I attended a cultural festival in our town. It was vibrant and colorful, with music, dancing, and delicious food from different countries. I was excited to meet new people and hear their stories. I approached a booth decorated with beautiful crafts from Mexico. A friendly woman named Maria was there, showcasing handmade pottery. "Hello. Your work is beautiful," I said with a smile. Maria's eyes sparkled as she replied, "Thank you. Do you like art?" This simple question opened a door to a wonderful conversation. We talked about our favorite types of art and the stories behind her pottery. I learned that each piece had a unique history and significance. As we spoke, I practiced my English, and Maria encouraged me. "You speak so well. Keep practicing, and you will inspire others," she said, making me feel proud. In that moment, I understood that language is not just a tool for communication, it's a way to connect with others on a deeper level. After our conversation, I decided to take a pottery class that Maria was teaching. "Let's create together," she said enthusiastically. The class was filled with laughter and creativity. As we shaped the clay, I made new friends and practiced speaking about our art. "I want to make a bowl for my cat," Max I exclaimed, and everyone chuckled. Every week, I looked forward to our pottery classes. They were not just about making art, but also about sharing our stories and experiences. I learned about my classmates' cultures and traditions, which enriched my understanding of the world. We bonded over our love for art and our desire to improve our English skills. One day, I decided to host an art show for my pottery class. "Let's showcase our creations and invite the community," I suggested. Everyone loved the idea, and we worked together to prepare for the event. We painted posters, arranged the pottery, and planned a fun evening filled with art and conversation. On the day of the show, the gallery was filled with people. I felt a rush of excitement as I welcomed everyone. "Thank you all for coming. We are thrilled to share our art with you," I said, my heart racing. I noticed people admiring the pieces, listening to the stories behind each creation. During the event, I also shared a story about my journey with English. When I first started, I was shy and nervous. But with practice and support from friends, I found my voice. I told the audience. I saw nods of understanding, and it reminded me that many people share similar journeys. After the art show, I received many compliments. "You did an amazing job," Emily, my friend, said. I felt a sense of accomplishment and gratitude. I realized that each moment spent practicing and sharing had led to something beautiful. As I continued to engage in different activities, I found that writing remained an important part of my journey. I loved to write poetry, and I decided to join a local poetry club. The club met every week at a cozy coffee shop downtown. The aroma of coffee and the sound of gentle chatter created the perfect atmosphere for creativity. At my first meeting, I felt a bit nervous. What if I'm not good enough, I wondered. But as I listened to others read their poems, I felt inspired. Each poem was a reflection of the poet's thoughts and feelings. This is my chance to express myself, I thought. When it was my turn, I took a deep breath and read a poem I had written about my journey with language. Words are like seeds, they grow and bloom, I began. As I spoke, I saw the faces of my fellow poets light up. They listened intently, and when I finished, they clapped and cheered. "Wow, Emily, that was beautiful," one of them said. The encouragement I received motivated me to keep writing and sharing. Each week, we explored different themes and styles. I learned how to weave emotions into words, using vivid imagery to paint pictures in the reader's mind. Poetry allowed me to express my thoughts in a new and powerful way. As the months passed, I began to write more frequently. I filled my journals with poems, stories, and reflections. Writing became a sanctuary for me, a place where I could explore my emotions and experiences. One day, I had an idea. What if I publish a book of my poems? Excited about the idea, I shared it with my poetry club. "That sounds incredible, Emily. You should go for it," they encouraged. I felt a mix of excitement and fear. What if no one reads it, I wondered. But then I remembered the power of sharing my story. I'll write for myself first, I decided. Over the following months, I worked hard on my book. I selected my favorite poems, wrote new ones, and organized them into themes. I wanted to create a collection that reflected my journey and the lessons I had learned along the way. I titled it Blooming Words: A Journey of Growth. When I finished the manuscript, I felt proud. I knew that my writing had come from my heart, and I hoped it would resonate with others. I decided to self-publish my book, a step that felt both thrilling and daunting. This is my voice, and I want to share it with the world, I told myself. After months of hard work, the day finally arrived when my book was published. I held a copy in my hands, and tears of joy filled my eyes. I did it. I really did it, I exclaimed. To celebrate, I organized a book launch event at the local library. I invited my friends, family, and everyone who had supported me on my journey. The library was filled with familiar faces, and I felt a wave of gratitude wash over me. Thank you all for being here today. I am so excited to share my journey with you, I said. my heart racing with joy. As I read some poems aloud, I noticed the smiles and nods from the audience. They listened intently, and it warmed my heart to see them engaged. These words are not just mine, they are a reflection of our shared experiences, I thought. After the reading, I signed copies of my book and chatted with people about their journeys. Your story inspired me, one person said, and I felt a deep sense of connection. Sharing my journey had created a bond with others, reminding me that we all have stories worth telling. As I continued to embrace new experiences, I also decided to travel. I wanted to see the world and practice my English in different cultures. Where should I go first, I wondered. I chose to visit London, a city rich in history and language. When I arrived in London, I was filled with excitement. The bustling streets, the iconic landmarks, and the diverse people made me feel alive. I visited museums, attended theater performances, and explored markets. Each interaction was an opportunity to practice my English. One day, while visiting a quaint bookshop, I struck up a conversation with a local named Oliver. "Do you like books?" I asked, and he replied enthusiastically, "Absolutely. What's your favorite genre?" We talked for hours about literature and our favorite authors. Oliver introduced me to hidden gems in the city, like small cafes and bookstores off the beaten path. I felt like I was exploring a new world, and my English improved with every conversation. I discovered that speaking with locals brought a unique richness to my travels. I also visited iconic sites like the Tower of London and Buckingham Palace. I marveled at the history around me and took countless photos. As I stood in front of Big Ben, I thought about how far I had come in my journey. If I can do this, I can do anything, I said to myself. During my travels, I also met people from different countries who were learning English. We shared our experiences and tips. I practiced with my friends. One girl from Spain told me, "We have conversations about everything." I took her advice to heart. I began connecting with people online through language exchange platforms. I found partners who wanted to practice English, and in return, I helped them with their language. "Let's learn from each other," I would say, and we would chat about our cultures and experiences. Through these connections, I expanded my understanding of language and culture. I realized that learning English was not just about speaking, it was about building relationships and understanding others. Each conversation opened a new door to friendship and discovery. As I continued to grow, I also found joy in giving back to the community. I volunteered at local schools, helping children with their English. "Let's read together," I would say, and their eyes would light up with excitement. I enjoyed sharing my love for language and inspiring them to embrace their journey. One day, a little boy named Leo approached me shyly. "I want to learn, but I'm scared," he confessed. I knelt beside him and said, It's okay to be scared. I was scared too, but we can learn together. We began reading a fun story, and soon he was smiling and laughing. Watching Leo's confidence grow made my heart swell with joy. I knew that learning is a journey, and every step counts. I encouraged him to share his thoughts and feelings. Your voice matters, Leo, I told him. As time went on, I felt a strong sense of purpose in my life. I wanted to continue helping others while pursuing my passion for language. I decided to pursue a degree in education, focusing on teaching English as a second language. This is my calling, I thought. In college, I immersed myself in my studies, learning about different teaching methods and the importance of language in education. I met incredible professors and classmates who shared my passion. Together we can make a difference, we would say to one another. During my student teaching experience, I had the opportunity to work with diverse groups of students. Each child brought unique experiences and challenges. I learned to adapt my teaching style to meet their needs. Let's make learning fun, I would say, and we played games, sang songs, and shared stories. I found joy in creating a supportive environment where every student felt valued. I encouraged them to express themselves and explore their interests. You have a voice. Use it, I would remind them. Watching their confidence grow brought me immense happiness. As I completed my degree, I reflected on my journey. I remembered the shy girl in the garden, the laughter shared with friends, and the connections made around the world. Each experience had shaped me into the person I had become. On graduation day, as I stood in my cap and gown, I felt a wave of emotions. I did it. This is just the beginning, I thought. I looked out into the crowd and spotted my family and friends, all cheering for me. I felt grateful for their support throughout my journey. After graduation, I secured a job teaching English to children in an international school. This is my dream come true, I exclaimed. I felt excited to share my passion for language with my students and help them embark on their own journeys. In my classroom, I created a warm and welcoming environment. I filled it with colorful posters, books, and art supplies. I wanted my students to feel inspired and eager to learn. Let's explore the world of words together, I told them. Each day was filled with laughter, learning, and creativity. I introduced my students to stories from different cultures, encouraging them to share their own experiences. Your story matters. Let's celebrate our diversity, I would say, fostering a sense of community in the classroom. As the years went by, I watched my students grow and thrive. They learned not only the English language but also the value of connection and empathy. I want to travel one day, just like you, a student named Amina said. I smiled, knowing that I was helping them dream big. One day, during a parent-teacher conference, Amina's mother approached me. Thank you for believing in my daughter. She is more confident now, she said, tears in her eyes. I felt a wave of gratitude and joy. I knew that my journey had come full circle. I continued to write and share my experiences. I started a blog to inspire others on their language learning journeys. Every word matters, and every voice deserves to be heard, I wrote in my first post. I hope to reach people worldwide and show them the beauty of language. Through my blog, I connected with readers from different backgrounds. They shared their stories, struggles, and triumphs. Your journey inspired me to keep going, one reader wrote. Each message motivated me to continue sharing my passion for language and learning. As I looked back on my life, I felt a deep sense of fulfillment. I had transformed from a shy girl afraid to speak into a confident woman who embraced her voice. This is my story, and I will keep writing it, I declared. I also realized that my journey was never truly over. There were always new words to learn, stories to tell, and connections to make. I continued to embrace each day with an open heart, knowing that language had the power to change lives. One evening, as I sat on my porch, I watched the sun set over the horizon. The sky was painted with hues of orange and pink. I smiled, thinking about all the moments that had shaped me. Thank you, world, for this incredible journey, I whispered. And so, I continued to talk, write, and inspire. I encouraged others to find their voices, to share their stories, and to embrace the beauty of language. Let's create a world where everyone can bloom, I said, knowing that each person has a unique story worth telling.